Mets Express has been heading uptown. Now they go uptown literally. Hopping the 4 train and heading up to the Bronx to take on their cross-river rivals. Mets have been as hot as it could possibly be. It's a cold night in the Bronx, and the Mets try and keep the good times rolling. At Yankee Stadium in the Bronx, Pix 11 Sports presents New York Mets baseball tonight. The Mets playing the New York Yankees. And a pleasant good evening, everybody, and welcome to Yankee Stadium. Gary Cohen, Keith Hernandez, Ron Darling with you tonight as the Mets play the first of 3 against the Yankees, first of 6 this year in the Subway Series. The Mets have won 11 in a row, tying a franchise record, and they go for a record number 12 tonight. It's the 19th year of interleague play, the first time the Mets and Yankees have ever been in first place at the same time. There's a lot of excitement for this series.
You know what I find interesting? The last few seasons that we've all done these games, it seems like the Mets are trying to assert themselves with a perennial team, the Yankees, that seems to always go to the playoffs. That has changed with this great start by this Mets team, this historic start by this Mets team. And not only that, they come in with a great record, but also have Jacob deGrom and Matt Harvey back-to-back here against the Yankees in the first 2 games. They couldn't be poised and put in a better place.
And so these 2 teams meet at Yankee Stadium, where the Mets put up 21 runs in 2 games last year.
Well, you know, this series is always special. This is the one interleague play series that I like, the crosstown rivalry here, which is so wonderful. But this time it's a little more excitement to this. It's a new, fresh, and exciting Met team with a lot of youth and new faces. The Yankees are kind of like the big guy on the block, and the Mets are trying to kick them down the road and take over first place here in New York. And you got Met fans that have had this team that has been down for so long, and now they're off to this, as Ronnie said, historic start of 13-3. There's a lot of buzz and excitement in the stadium.
And for the Mets, it has started with their starting pitching, and none better than Jacob deGrom. Hasn't given up a run in 18 1/3 innings. The Florida kid will be pitching on a cold night tonight.
You know, he made that little mistake to Ryan Zimmerman in his first game in Washington. Since then, it's been almost perfect, great ERA. He's got 2 wins, only 1 loss. And the thing that you like about deGrom, almost a perfect kind of personality to pitch in this kind of game. Seems like everything just falls off his back.
And one of the power forwards for the Yankees rotation, that would be Michael Pineda. It's been hard to keep him on the mound for the last few years, but when he pitches, he's very, very tough.
I mean, 6'7", 2 and a queens, just as a big man with a good fastball and a wipeout slider. The Mets right-handed hitters are going to have to lay off that slider tonight.
Yankees have won 6 of their last 7. The Mets have won 11 in a row. They come together tonight in the Bronx. The Mets and the Yankees starting the Subway Series tonight right here on Pix 11. you to get in your comfort zone with the most advanced Elantra yet. Visit your Hyundai dealer today. By Verizon Fios, the fastest, most reliable internet. By Toyota. See where Toyota takes you. Test drive one at your Toyota dealer. Toyota, let's go places. By McDonald's, stop by for the new 100% sirloin third-pound burgers starting at $4.99. Price and participation may vary. By Six Flags, save big on Six Flags Great Adventures tickets at sixflags.com. And by the Honda Dream Garage sales event now at your Honda dealer. Who are the 4 players who best represent the history of the Mets, and who are the 4 greatest Major League Baseball players? Go to MLB.com/franchise4 to cast your ballots. Winners will be revealed during the All-Star Game, July 14th. It has been a stunning couple of weeks for the New York Mets. They won their last road game in Atlanta, came home for their home opener. Jacob deGrom pitched them to a win, and they have not looked back since. A 10-0 homestand, the first ever for the Mets, and the first in the major leagues in 24 years. Contributions from everybody, including people who weren't even here when the winning streak began. Mets hitting home runs, pitching brilliantly, playing great defense, getting timely hits, saving games, 11 straight wins. That ties a club record, and they go for an even dozen tonight. Here's the starting lineup for the Mets, brought to you by Land Rover Above and Beyond. DH tonight, that goes to Michael Kadire, so Kirk Neuenhuis gets just his second start of the year in left field. Kevin Plawecki, just his 3rd big league start, and he does it in the Bronx. Curtis Granderson returns to the site of his biggest years as the Mets try and keep it rolling tonight against Michael Pineda.
Well, Michael Pineda, when he first came up to the major leagues with Seattle, he was an all-star. His rookie year finished 5th in the Rookie of the Year voting. Used to throw about 95+. Now he doesn't throw as hard, but he still has a 90+ fastball, wipeout slider, and he's throwing now a lot more changeups.
And we'll take a look at the defense. It's brought to you by the all-new Kia Sorento. And for the Yankees, a veteran outfield there in Ellsbury, the former Red Sox, and Carlos Beltran, of course, in right. And that middle infield. Remember Drew last year? He couldn't get a team, couldn't land on a team. And Gregorius, who came over in the offseason from Arizona.
Joe Girardi trying to coax a good season out of an elderly team.
If you wanted to ask someone about the Mets-Yankees rivalry, he's the only one in '97 when it started that was still playing for the Yankees.
He was the starting catcher that first Subway Series game in '97. The last player who had played in that game who was still active was Derek Jeter. Of course, he struck out that last at bat against Dave Malicki when the Mets shut out the Yankees in the Bronx that first ever game. Met fans have made their way up to the Bronx. Crowd still filing in. Not quite 50-50, but plenty of Met fans on hand. 45 degrees as we get set to start. Wind chill is 36. It's only going to get colder as the night goes along. They're trying to take over the building early.
The Russians are coming.
Full shift on against Curtis Granderson. Pineda's first pitch of the night is a fastball for a strike, and we're underway. Granderson back in his old haunts where he had a couple of 40 home run seasons, and last year the Mets played 2 games here, and Granderson went off, hit a couple of home runs. Doesn't have a home run yet this season, and Pineda finds the knee-high strike, and it's 0-2.
Big play already by Doug Eddings, the home plate umpire, so be aggressive, Mets hitters.
Eddings has always had a reputation as a pitcher's umpire. Juan Lagares on deck. Granderson fouls off the breaking ball. Mets are second in the National League in runs scored, but they haven't been bludgeoning teams. In their 11-game winning streak, they have not scored more than 7 runs in any game. But they've been bunching hits, drawing their walks, taking advantage of opponents' errors. Granderson goes down on strikes, and that's how the night begins.
Well, that's the wipeout slider I was talking about. You get behind 0-2-1-2, it's over. Late breaker, sharp breaker, down and in to Granderson.
Tough pitch to lay off for a left-hander. Late bite, down and in.
So Pineda has his first man, and now Juan Lagares, who starts the night with a 10-game hitting streak, hitting .342 over the 10 games. And the corner's in against Juan, who takes on the inside corner strike. Doug Eddings has the plate tonight. He's the crew chief. Adrian Johnson at first, Jim Wolf at second, Adam Palmari, the youngest of the quartet, at third. 6'7" Michael Pineda deals and gets ahead on Lagares. 0-2.
There's a slider again. Mets hitters are going to have to lay off it. The right-handed hitters are going to have to try to lay off that. Hard to do.
Pineda making his 4th start of the year. He's walked only 2 and struck out 21. And he gets the breaking ball over. Strike 3 called. Back-to-back strikeouts for Pineda to start the ninth.
Well,
Pineda's not messing around, Keith. This one's inside.
That one hung over the middle, kind of froze Lagares right down the pipe. Starts at his hip, oop, and there you go. Grab some pine, hang with them.
So now it's Lucas Duda with 2 out. Duda got a couple of hits his last 2 times up on Wednesday night, then was on base 4 straight times yesterday, so he's been on base 6 straight plate appearances as he starts tonight.
You know what I was thinking what happened, Gary? Sorry. The roll call usually comes in the first inning. The Mets fans with the "Let's go Mets" chant, I think it was gamesmanship. They were trying to drown out the roll call. Interesting.
Well, Met fans have been doing a version of that in some of the games at Citi Field.
And you see the defense there. Big shift for Duda.
1-1 from Pineda. And Lucas fouls off the fastball. And as Ronnie was saying, Pineda not as hard a thrower as he used to be. There was a time when he was a 93, 94 guy. Now he's averaging 90 and a half on his fastball so far this year.
Yeah, when you got that kind of breaking ball and you wear your hat a little bit off to the side, it doesn't matter how hard you throw.
He has struck out the first 2. He's ahead on Duda 1-2. And Lucas drives one to right center, but Beltran is there, and that retires the side. So the Mets are on 1-2-3. Jacob deGrom takes them out for the bottom of the first when we come back to the Bronx. Yankees starting lineup brought to you by Land Rover Above and Beyond. Yankees averaging 5.3 runs per game, second in the major leagues behind Toronto. A very heavy left-hand batting lineup. Jacob deGrom will face 8 left-hand batters. Alex Rodriguez the lone exception. deGrom trying to enhance what has been a spectacular start to his year.
Well, you see those numbers. I mean, 0.93 after 3 starts. 2-run home run to Zimmerman. Only mistake.
Jacoby Ellsbury leads off. And Ellsbury swinging at the first one, flies it down the line. Neuenhuis watches it go foul.
tell you a little bit right there. Their game plan, I think, right against DeGrom, is they are going to be aggressive early. Well, he's a strike thrower.
He's hitting first ball fastball, gets first ball fastball, and the inside out of it means that DeGrom beat him with it.
Jake made his major league debut a little less than a year ago against the Yankees at Citi Field. Lost a 1-0 duel, but his career was off and running with those 7 terrific innings against the Yankees as Ellsbury couldn't stop the swing, and it's 0-2.
He's throwing hard. Well, you're going to be throwing hard here. Jacob DeGrom said it's like any other start. It's really not when you're playing against the Yankees here.
He knows that.
Yeah.
0-2. Foul back, 95 from DeGrom.
We're in the clubhouse today, folks, before the Yankees are even hitting. You know, a lot of press in there. This is a big deal. And DeGrom's over in the corner, all relaxed as if he's a 15-year veteran.
He's like a younger version of Bartolo Colon, unflappable. Ball and 2 strikes to Ellsbury, Brett Gardner to follow, and then Alex Rodriguez for the Yankees, who have won 6 of their last 7 after a slow start to move into a first-place tie in the American League East. Reached for and punched into left, and Neuenhuis is right there. 1 out.
And we'll take a quick look at your Metsy defense, brought to you by the all-new Kia Sorento. Neuenhuis with the DH for defense in left field. Kadire will be, of course, DHing. Flores, well, who would have thought Flores will be leading the team in home runs at shortstop. Murph at second base. Plawecki off to a very nice start with the Mets since his call up a few days ago.
Now it's Brett Gardner. Gardner hitting at .286 with a .388 on base percentage. He's off to a fine start. Tied for the American League lead in stolen bases.
Always have to be aware of Gardner when he's up of the bunt opportunity, but it's hard to bunt against DeGrom.
Matt Harvey will be starting tomorrow afternoon's game, which should be a tad warmer. Fastball for a strike to Gardner, 0-2.
Well, this is the same old thing we see with DeGrom. He just comes after hitters and pours in that fastball. He's not afraid.
Starts the night with 18 1/3 consecutive scoreless innings. Longest active streak for any major league starter. It's the longest streak by a Met since R.A. Dickey set the club record 3 years ago, going 32 2/3 consecutive scoreless innings.
Did you notice that against Gardner? First 2 pitches, sinkers away, little running action, and then when he was 0-2, came in with the 4-seamer up. That's going to be a constant theme, something to look at against these left-handed hitters.
So Alex Rodriguez on deck. Gardner, late swing foul.
I've always liked Gardner as a player. When he first came up, he was basically platooned. He's got a lot of speed, brings a lot of energy, and he's a cut and slash type hitter. He's perfect for the top of the order.
And last year hit a career high 17 home runs. Had never hit in double digits before. 1 home run this season. And he laces one into right center for a base hit. Granderson over quickly to cut it off. Gardner takes the turn and he'll hold with a well-struck single. So Gardner, the first base runner for either side.
Bullet. Fastball running away. He just stayed in there. Didn't get it away enough. Okay, they get paid to hit too.
Well, it's interesting. The changeup to Ellsbury was lofted to left field. That was another changeup, and the base hit by Gardner.
So now it's Alex Rodriguez, 658 career home runs. Back after basically 2 years on the sidelines, injured in 13, suspended in 14, and at age 39 has been probably more productive than folks thought early in the season. 4 homers, 11 RBIs, 419 on base percentage.
What's alarming to me is his 17 strikeouts, and that'll make you wonder as the season progresses, will he wear down? He's in great shape.
17 strikeouts, but 13 walks. That leads the American League. So people are being careful with Alex.
The reputation precedes him.
And there's the Mets defense, pretty much straight up. Murphy up the middle.
Rodriguez, 14-time All-Star, 3-time MVP, takes the breaking ball for a strike. 1-1.
dry patch there. Probably that. What do they call that stuff?
Diamond dry.
That's right, diamond dry.
It's not like it's rained today.
Is there an echo in here?
Great minds. Rodriguez hits one to center, playable for Lagares. And Gardner goes back to first, 2 away.
Well, smart pitching by DeGrom. At this point in his career, Alex, very difficult for him to catch up with that good cheese inside. And this fastball, he almost got to it, but it just beat him.
In enough, Ron, and even in Alex's prime, he gets a little long with his swing, and you've got to pitch him inside. You throw him out over the plate, you're asking for trouble.
Now Mark Teixeira hitting just 196. He's had 10 hits. 9 of the 10 have been extra base hits, including 5 home runs. So Teixeira now at age 35, still dangerous. 368 career home runs for Teixeira. Now in the 7th year of an 8-year contract with the Yankees. 8 years, $180 million. Mets have the full shift on against Teixeira.
But it's interesting. Campbell's all the way out in right field.
See this more and more now. Teams putting their third baseman in that rover spot in shallow right, and leaving the shortstop alone on the left side. And Teixeira takes a big rip at a high fastball, 1-1.
Well, Teixeira over the years now, his batting average has dropped. His power numbers are there. I think a lot of it has to do, he's been so full of injuries over the last few years here, but also the lure of that right field here at Yankee Stadium. 81 games in that short porch and right for a left-hand power hitter. The Yankees want him to hit home runs. Thus he pulls more and the average drops.
And do you think that's a conscious thing, that as you get later in your career, you just sell out for the home runs and accept the fact you're going to have a lower average?
I don't think that Mark or any athlete that was a 300 hitter would want to see the average drop. I think Father Time is catching up with him in injuries.
He hooks one in the air deep down the right field line, over toward the corner. Granderson looking up, and it's out of here. Right inside the foul pole, a 2-1 homer for Mark Teixeira, his 6th of the year, and the Yankees jump out to a 2-0 lead.
As you speak, Keith, he delivers.
No, he's only had 11 hits, but every one of them has been big. 6 home runs for Teixeira. And that snaps DeGrom's scoreless inning streak at 18 1/3, bookended by 2-run homers. First Ryan Zimmerman at the start, and now Mark Teixeira to end it.
But you're right, Gary. 11 hits, 10 of them for extra bases.
Now it's Brian McCann.
Well, here's the pitch. Oh, just got it up, Ronnie, and too much of the plate. Wanted it away.
I think it's another changeup too, Keith.
McCann flies one down the left side, and that'll go out of play.
What will happen sometimes as you see this ball just stay fair? It happens sometimes when you get into a bigger game, bigger atmosphere, is that you'll throw that changeup too hard.
McCann bounces one into the shift. Duda, though, deflects it away from Murphy, and McCann will be aboard.
Well, there's a mistake there, mental mistake by Lucas here. He's got to know, and I'm sure he does, that Murph is right behind him in the outfield grass. McCann does not run well. Easy play for Murph.
Actually, Campbell there in shallow.
I'm sorry,
right.
Campbell. Sorry about that. They did the flip.
Yeah, I got that wrong too.
You know what's interesting is that you have to know where the fielders are when you're a base runner. Now in shifts, you have to know where the fielders are as a defensive player.
And it's fairly easy.
Yeah.
You just look over your
course.
shoulder and you see where they're at. I think it's the same situation here now. Same defense.
Carlos Beltran today celebrating his 38th birthday. It's been a very rough start for Carlos. He's been sick this last week. He's hitting just 184. And he takes inside from DeGrom.
DeGrom is pumped up. Ron, I think a little overthrowing.
Well, the other thing is that they are trying to start every left-handed hitter with a fastball inside, and he's missed, which means he's getting behind.
And comes inside and catches the corner. 1-1.
This is the hardest I've seen the ground throw. I mean, every ball is 94 or 95.
And Beltran skies one to center. The former Mets center fielder flies out to Lagares. 1 Gold Glover to another. Side retired. But Mark Teixeira opens the scoring. Keeps one fair down the line for his 6th of the year. The Yankees jump out to a 2-0 lead after 1. He and Dan Warthen exchanging information.
See the ball. He said his movement didn't move away enough. Too much of the fat of the bat, too much of the plate.
Michael Kadire leads off in the 2nd inning, and Michael Pineda gets ahead of him with a breaking ball. Kadire DHing today, 0 for his last 10. Came up with a skinned arm after that slide into home plate yesterday.
He's lucky that A.J. Pierzynski didn't break his arm. I mean, he dropped that knee right on his forearm. Luckily, he got it just through.
And he cracks one into center field, but right at Ellsbury for the first out. Keys to the game brought to you by Hyundai.
Well, it's very clever here. The Express and Local describes both teams, and they're on their way to their Mets to 13-3. Yankees 9-7. Granderson loves it here. Hit 2 home runs last year in the 2 games here at Yankee Stadium in the Subway Series, and of course Familia just been lights out. Can anybody stop him? He has just been eating hitters up.
Well, here's Daniel Murphy who had a breakout day at the plate yesterday. 4 RBIs, flies one to left, but Gardner's right there for the second out. So the Mets getting some better swings these last couple of bats against Pineda. But he's retired the first 5, and now Eric Campbell will bat.
Our last keys to the game. Do they really say keep free of the closing doors, please? Is the please always included?
It depends on the conductor.
Okay.
Occasionally you get a please.
Yeah, okay. I don't hear that very
occasionally you get a hey.
I've never heard it.
How often do you ride the subway?
I used to ride all the time when I lived in the city.
That's a used to.
That's right. It's a kinder, gentler nation.
Eric Campbell making his 9th straight start. He's reached base in all 8 so far, filling in for David Wright. And oh, by the way, he hasn't played in a losing game yet. 8-0 in the Campbell regime.
That's right.
Wilmer Flores would be next. David is here. He's been here every day. He's trying to find a way to occupy himself and stay warm. Strike 3 called. Another Met goes down in the breaking ball, and Pineda has gone perfectly through the first 2 innings. His 3rd strikeout. To the bottom of the 2nd, 2-0 Yankees. DeGrom had been called up to help out in the bullpen, but then Dylan G got hurt, so he got the start against the Yankees at Citi Field and introduced himself to New York. Got the first hit for a Met pitcher after they got 0 for 63 and went 7 terrific innings, only to lose the game 1-0. Chase Headley leads off in the home second and flies one out to right, and Granderson back with his heels on the warning track to catch it for the first out.
Well, one thing that Jacob's going to have to realize, and I'm sure they're on it, is that with all the computer stuff going around now, they know that he can pound the strike zone with the fastball. Yankees early in this game right now, first time through the lineup, jumping on that fastball early.
7 batters, 7 first pitch fastballs.
Now it's Stephen Drew hitting just 178, one of 4 Yankees hitting under 200, and he takes a strike. Drew, remember, sat out the first portion of last year. Everybody was screaming for the Mets to sign him. He wound up re-signing with the Red Sox. They traded him to the Yankees at the trading deadline, and he has not hit since coming back. He was 162 last year.
He's hit some home runs this year, but still a paltry average.
Drew now 32 years old. 8 of the 9 starting regulars for the Yankees today are 30 or older. The only one who's not is the on-deck hitter, Didi Gregorius. And the changeup misses, 3-1. Rob has only walked 3 batters and struck out 17 so far this year. And real bad hop to Duda, stays with it off his chest. Nicely done by Duda for the second out.
Well, I won't call him Little Luke here. This big body got in the way of this one. He stayed right in front. And there you go. If you olay it, it's in the right field for a base hit. You come up, your body gets in the way. Nicely done, Lucas.
We have seen more bad hops early this season than we've seen in 5 years.
Exactly.
Do you think it's the harshness of the winter, or, I mean,
you'd have to ask some ground members to have an idea.
Oh, they would never say there's any bad hops, so you never get the right answer.
I mean, the infields have gotten so much better over the last 20 years. Here's Didi Gregorius thinking about a bunt and takes a strike. That you got used to never seeing any bad hops.
Correct. It was like playing in the street.
Gregorius acquired in the winter to be the successor to Derek Jeter, and it has not gone well. Known for his glove, but even that has been a source of some discomfort. Still trying to get settled. Came over in the three-way deal from the Diamondbacks. And the Yankees gave up a pitcher who went to Detroit, Shane Green, who is off to an unbelievable start.
3-0, ERA under 1.
The Yankees have Brendan Ryan on the disabled list, so they have little choice but to ride with Gregorius at this point. They can always move Drew over there. DeGrom, though, strikes him out with a breaking ball. His first strikeout of the day. Yankees go 1-2-3. They lead 2-0 after 2. Our friend Mike Santini from the MLB Network.
Good man. Worked with Mike back on the MSG days. He said he was always trying to find you for the production meetings. I thought he was always looking for Fran.
Wilmer Flores running a 6-game hitting streak takes a strike from Michael Pineda. Mets looking for their first base runner, trailing 2-0 as we start the third. Flores with 3 home runs, 3 of the 10 the Mets have hit through their first 16 games, and he nubs one. Pineda tentatively off the mound and tentatively to first, 1 away.
Yeah, he's another guy who doesn't like to throw to the bases, so the underhand toss gets Flores.
Well, the Yankees have these power forwards for pitchers. You got Pineda, who's 6'7". Sabathia goes tomorrow. He's 6'7". Andrew Miller, their closer, is 6'7". Betances, their setup guy, is 6'8". They're huge.
Like the old Philadelphia Phillies, they always had the big, tall pitchers. In the old days, you used to kind of barnstorm as a baseball team playing basketball for charity in the winter. They would have the best team.
Here's Kevin Plawecki. His third big league game. 2 for 7 to start his career. Takes a strike.
Oh, geez, don't show me that. Come on, Bill.
Nachos with the works. Well, Pineda has come out throwing strikes tonight. Hasn't thrown more than 1 ball to any batter. Kirk Neuenhuis waits on deck. And Plawecki takes it low.
That's the first changeup he's thrown, the 0-2 pitch. Saw the catcher McCann ask him to bounce it or throw it on the plate, and he did.
Pineda's now 26 years old. He is 6 months younger than Jacob deGrom.
Think about that. Pineda came up in 2011. He was an all-star with the Mariners. Basically lost 2 years to labrum surgery, lost another half year last year to back surgery and pine tar.
That's right.
And now finally healthy and hoping to pitch a full season in the major leagues. Struck him out with a slider. Pineda off to a great start. That's his 4th strikeout.
Well, when he gets ahead of you, it's too good of a pitch.
It's one, if you try to pull it like that, you might as well. It's an act of futility.
Look at that. 21 strikes, only 4 balls so far for big Michael Pineda. So he's retired the first 8. Now Kirk Neuenhuis sitting 9th in the order, looking for his first hit of the year. Just the 2nd game Kirk has started. Most of his plate appearances have come as a pinch hitter. And Terry Collins said today, we've got to get Kirk some at bats to get him going.
Well, Ron made a good point. Ron and I were in conversation earlier before the game, and he's got a long swing, and he's not a guy that's suited for bench play. He's got a long swing, folks. His issue is flying that front shoulder. And you see that what happens. There's no rotation. He's locked in his hips, and he can only come under the ball, and it makes it very tough for him to catch up with a pitch up in the strike zone.
Over the bag, and that's going to stay fair. Neuenhuis has his first hit of the season. He's going to test Gardner's arm. The throw to second on a hop can't be handled by Drew, and Neuenhuis has a double. Very aggressive base running by Neuenhuis, but he took the gamble with 2 out, and it pays off.
Well, I agree with this play. I love aggressiveness, and if you're thrown out, fine. This kind of in-between hop for Drew, tough chance. Throw a little offline. The throws at the bag. Neuenhuis is probably out. But it's a play where you force him to make the perfect throw.
We've mentioned it in the last week. The Mets have been very aggressive on the bases all season long.
Neuenhuis snaps the offer, has the Mets' first hit of the day, and now Granderson tying run at the plate. Curtis struck out his first time up. Off Pineda, but caroms right to Gregorius, and he throws on Granderson to end the inning. Let's get their first hit, but Pineda puts up another 0. 2-0 Yankees.
Citi Field Saturday, May 2nd, when the Mets take on the Nationals at 7:10 p.m. The first 15,000 fans will receive a Jacob deGrom Garden Gnome, courtesy of Gold's Horseradish. For tickets, visit Mets.com/Super Saturdays. Second time around the batting order for the future Garden Gnome. Jacoby Ellsbury leads off for the Yankees. Flied out to left his first time up. And he shoots one foul. Ellsbury now 31 years old in the second year of a 7-year, $153 million deal. Had a nice year last year at 271, 16 homers, 39 stolen bases.
70 RBI. That's a big number.
Is it a $153 million number? He drives one deep to right field. Granderson looks up, and it's out of here. Ellsbury's first home run of the year, and the Yankees lead it 3-0.
The Yankees came in here third in the American League in home runs, winning with home runs, and they're doing it tonight.
23 home runs now. This is their 17th game.
First home run of the year, fastball, Ronnie, right down the pipe.
Are you sure, Keith? I think that's I'm thinking it might be another change, but we got to get the speed on it.
So you thought it was a change?
I think it's a hard change. Too hard.
Then he's got to take something off.
So a couple of home runs against deGrom tonight, and now Brett Gardner, and he fouls one straight down. Gardner had a base hit and scored in front of Teixeira's home run in the first.
Well, I think I'm wrong then. It said 91. I thought it was a hard change. Keith's right. Fastball. It's not a good one.
Must have been a two-seamer because he doesn't usually throw 91. Usually he's 93, 95, somewhere in there. There's a changeup that misses, a ball and a strike to Gardner.
Well, we're going to see. They wanted it in. Look at it bleed out over the middle. There it goes. It's bleeding. And that's right into the wheelhouse of a left-hand hitter.
Down the left field line and foul.
When I see a home run like that, I think of Reggie Jackson in the World Series when he hit those three, right? Out in a second.
Yeah, that was a line drive that, well, let's face it, doesn't get out of many other ballparks.
Right, and he looked in, and then he hit the knuckle. But the most impressive one was the last one off of
Elias Sosa.
Oh no, I'm sorry. Then the one off
Charlie Huff.
Dead central, way out.
That was a long way into the black, as they say.
Oh man, I remember watching that on TV and shaking my head.
With Howard Cosell providing the commentary.
Yes.
2-2 to Gardner, and that's whacked foul. Howard had a love-hate relationship with baseball.
Yes, he didn't like it that much.
What, he loved to hate it?
He loved to be on the stage.
Yeah,
exactly.
I just don't think there was enough action for Howard in a baseball game. You know, he wanted to.
But there was plenty of time to talk.
Yeah, there was.
I love listening to him talk.
Curveball wraps around the plate. The full count to Gardner. So
what was that?
Not at the top of his game tonight.
No, too many. I really think that he's really just geared up, and
Gardner lines another one into right center, same spot as last time, and this time he's going to try for two. Granderson's throwing a hop. Flores the tag, and did he hold the ball? He got him. Nice job by Flores to pick up that hop and get the tag down on Gardner. Trying to stretch.
Well, short right field. Perfect throw from Granderson. Nice tag by Flores. Nice, good, easy one hop for your middle infielder. That's what you want. Nice tag. Stayed in there, too. Well done. I love this. A lot of excitement here.
Well, the Yankees scouting report tells them that you run on Granderson's arm. But let me ask you a question. Do you think that part of Gardner trying for two there was the fact that Neuenhuis ran on him?
Well, that's a very good point, Gare. It was obviously ill-advised. If you start letting your ego get in between, in the way, that spells trouble. I don't think so. I think he's just a gamer, and he just took a chance.
This is what I think here. I think it might have played in now that you mention it. But remember, his first hit was the same hit, and I think he really wanted to go the first time, and he held back.
This time Granderson had a little further to go to get to the ball, and so he tried it. A-Rod takes inside. It's 2-1.
Well, it's the first time DeGrom's been hit pretty hard. There's not any cheapies in here. They've been pounding the ball on him.
And with the second time in his career he's given up more than one home run in a game.
Listen, this is only his 26th start, but what it should tell you as you get deeper into your career, when they're jumping on all your hard stuff, you've got to start going a little softer.
And how much does having a catcher in only his third big league game play into that?
It's big because you have to do it yourself. You're not going to get a lot of direction.
So A-Rod draws a walk. First walk by DeGrom.
So basically in the battery here, and why did they ever call it the battery? The battery mate, and the pitcher and the catcher are called the battery.
Cathode, anode.
Okay, thank you.
Two ends of a battery.
I never thought of it that way. California, we were busy fishing.
Positive,
we
negative.
were fishing and
solar energy.
Teixeira drives another one down the right field line. This one hooks and goes foul.
And shallow, just sawed him off that time.
Yeah, he broke his bat.
So the point being is you got a very inexperienced battery here today in DeGrom and Plawecki. And it's been fastball happy, Ron.
Yes, it has. I guess to answer your question, Gary, when you have a young receiver, he's hoping to put down the right signs as opposed to a veteran receiver who knows what signs to put down.
Nice block.
Ball to strike to Teixeira. Well, when you have a young catcher, how much help is he going to get in terms of calling the game?
It's interesting. Dan Watson, the pitching coach, who I wouldn't think would be running in charge of the running game, seems like he is. Or he is giving him signs.
Teixeira cracks another one down the right field line, headed toward the pole, but that one is there as well. A two-run homer. Second two-run homer of the night for Teixeira in virtually the same spot. His 7th of the year, and the Yankees now lead it 5-0. Well, in his second big league start, Jacob deGrom gave up 3 home runs against the Dodgers. And now he's given up 3 home runs tonight against the Yankees.
And this is right before the pitch with Dan Warthen giving the signs.
You got to give more than that, don't you? Fastball in. It's in. And guess what? Someone got the bat through. Might have been looking in.
You know what happens a lot of times? He just broke Teixeira's at bat, broke his bat. He's thinking to himself, veteran hitter, I'm not going to get it broken again. I'm going to be looking inside. But one of the themes to deGrom's fast start in the major leagues, he doesn't give up the home runs. And you were describing 3 against the Dodgers. But today's game is different. This is the first time that he's getting a sense of what can happen to you in the major leagues.
And particularly in this ballpark with a left-hand hitting lineup and that short porch. But none of these home runs have been cheap.
So now it's a 5-0 Yankee lead. Now Brian McCann, who banked one off Duda's glove for a base hit his first time up. Well, through his first 25 starts, only 2 Met pitchers had lower ERAs than Jacob deGrom. That'll take a hit tonight. McCann flicks one down the left field line, and that's foul.
This is a new experience for Mr. deGrom here. You know, Tom Seaver got knocked out. All the great ones, they get hammered, but this is the most I've seen. This is the hardest I've seen him hit in his young career.
Hit hard, and that's a base hit for McCann as he low bridges deGrom.
So McCann is 2 for 2, and deGrom giving up hard hit ball after hard hit ball.
Yes, he is, and I think that's going to have to get that Met bullpen stirring. And there they go. There's some movement. That ball's ripped. A little change up, Ronnie.
I think it was a little slider, Keith, but right in the middle of the plate. saying, "Come hit me." For a starting pitcher, when you're stuck in this kind of game, it's almost like being lost in a maze, and there's no way to get out. You're trying to figure a way to get out of it, but you have no answers.
Carlos Beltran flying to center his first time up. And DeGrom falls behind him 2-0.
All of a sudden, DeGrom is starting to think about that outside corner a little more, huh, Ron?
Everything is interconnected. You give up some home runs, all of a sudden you start missing the way.
3-0. Sean Gilmartin, first man up in the Mets bullpen. Mets starters have been so consistent day after day, getting the Mets deep into games, but this may not be that kind of day for DeGrom. Beltran likes to swing on 3-0, but he takes a strike. 3-1. By the way, for Mark Teixeira, his 38th career multiple home run game.
It's huge.
Wow.
Now has 370 home runs in his big league career. Now there's ball 4 and Beltran's on. So every hitter has reached base in this inning. The only out came when Gardner's trying to stretch a single into a double. Ellsbury homered, Gardner with a base hit, A-Rod walked, Teixeira a 2-run homer, McCann a hard hit single, and now a walk to Beltran.
Teixeira now has 12 hits, 4 doubles, and 7 home runs.
Unbelievable.
Right.
All or nothing. Now it's Chase Headley who flied out to the edge of the warning track and right his first time up. Most runs DeGrom has allowed in a big league start is 6. That was against the Cardinals last June. Gave up 6 runs and 12 hits in that game. Headley is now 3 years removed from his seminal season with the Padres when he drove in 115 runs to lead the National League. In the 3 years since, he's had over 1,000 at bats and 108 RBIs. Rounds one toward the hole, and that'll sneak through for a base hit. McCann will be held at third. And so Headley with a not very well struck hit to load up the bases.
Well placed.
Well, this is getting racky tax. Just getting lit up. Everything's finding a hole. This ball wasn't hit that hard, but it finds a hole.
I mean, we rarely see that hit anymore because of the shifts. We never see that base hit.
Well, Headley, one guy you have to play straight up because he will use the whole field. Same with Stephen Drew. The Mets will play straight up, hoping for a double play to finally get DeGrom through this inning. Drew grounded out to Duda his first time up. Very slow runner at third. McCann takes a pretty good fly ball to get him home. And DeGrom bounces one.
That's 2 first pitch changeups to the last 2 hitters. Is DeGrom here? Is it too late trying to change lanes?
They just haven't let him up for air. He's trying to find it, and the Yankees are just keeping him underwater.
5 runs, 8 hits, 2 walks over 2 1/3. 3 home runs. Drew's already hit 4 home runs this year. And he flies one to left center. McCann will tag. Lagares comes over to get it. Here comes McCann, and the throw will go to third. So it's a sacrifice fly for Drew, and it extends the Yankee lead to 6-0. So 4 runs home in the inning against Jacob DeGrom. And the Yankees will send up their 9th batter of the inning in Didi Gregorius. So the 6 runs matching the most that DeGrom has ever given up in a major league game, and this is 26th big league start. Gregorius struck out his first time up. Beltran at second, Headley at first with 2 down. First pitch curveball in for a strike.
It's so interesting to watch here in the last few hitters. Change up, curveball to start the hitters. It's almost like he's finally figured out he's got to change, but it's too late. Maybe it's not too late, but too late for him to stop all these runs coming in.
Well, it'll be an interesting call now. You're in an American League park, so you don't have to bat for the pitcher, about how long you keep DeGrom in the game. Keep in mind, every Mets start is going to get an extra day before their next start because they're bringing up Rafael Montero to pitch Tuesday.
There's a lot of pitches, to me, under duress. This would be the last hitter if he doesn't get Gregorius out for me. And I'd let Gil Martin start the inning. It's one of those days.
Bounces a curveball, and it's 1-2. So you're saying even if he gets through the inning right here, you would have Gil Martin start the fourth?
I would. I think that it's one of those days. It's one of those, just wash it away. No need to go out there and get pounded anymore.
Exactly. He's hasn't had a rhythm. Yankees have not, to their credit, have not let him find a rhythm.
Gregorius hits one in the air to right field, but that one's playable for Granderson. And that retires the side. But 9 men came to bat for the Yankees, and 2 of them left the ballpark. Jacoby Ellsbury leading off the 3rd inning with a line drive home run, his first of the year. Mark Teixeira with his second 2-run homer of the night, and the Yankees lead at 6-0 after 3. Pineda now stake to a 6-run lead. Juan Lagares leads off for the Mets in the 4th and takes a strike.
Well, interesting between innings. You see Dan Warthen talking to Plawecki.
Can't talk to DeGrom. He quickly went down the tunnel as soon as the inning was over.
No, that's a glove, hat, all kinds of things being thrown in frustration, of course.
We hope the facilities survive. Toward the middle of the diamond, flashing over Gregorius, and the quick toss to get a nice play, Gregorius. Well, that's the defense the Yankees expected to get from Gregorius, who had a great reputation as a fielder.
Well, good range to his left and throwing in between off step here on the run with Mustard. Watch him here. Not a chance to set and throw. Throwing on the run. Very nice.
So 1 out and nobody on. Now Lucas Duda, who lined out to right field his first time up, and the Yankees put the shift on against him.
Headley staying back just in case Duda wants to get on with a bunt. A lot of chirping from the Mets dugout on that high fastball that was called a strike. Eddings doesn't like it. Hang with him.
Eddings gesturing toward the Mets dugout, telling everybody to be quiet. The Mets have not been in this position.
No. Well, they've been behind before,
not by
not like this, which would make it
they do have 7 come from behind wins this year.
And there's 6 more innings up there, 6 more at bats, and wouldn't it be a remarkable come from behind win if they could pull it off?
This is a
tough to do
where you can do it.
Yep.
1-2 to Duda with Kadire on deck. And Lucas takes the slider down.
I don't know. We showed Holyfield here. This is like being knocked out in the first round and barely getting up.
Hey, if you survive
They're right.
at
You
the
never
bell,
know.
you can always come back in the later rounds. Strike 3 call. Duda caught looking. That's 5 strikeouts for Michael Pineda. 2 out in the inning.
Backdoor slide.
Yeah, on the back door.
Down break. Borderline knees. Too close to take. Got the corner, though, Ronnie. Pitcher's pitch.
5 strikeouts, all sliders.
So 2 out and nobody on for Michael Kadire, who hit it on the button his first time up and lined out to Ellsbury in center field. Kadire DHing today, and the plan is to DH him again tomorrow. Play John Mayberry in left field against the left-hander Sabathia. The more innings that the Mets can rest Kadire, even if it's only the half rest of being a DH, the better off they'll be in the long run.
Well, I think it's a good move, but remember, left field, left center here at Yankee Stadium is a vast piece of acreage to have to cover. Better to have the young legs out there.
Good. Nasty slider.
This is one of those things where you have the game plan, you know what he's going to throw, but if he's throwing a good one, you can't hit it.
Look at the wind, just kind of, it's blowing out there. It's almost like a round at the British Open.
Well, you look at the flags at the top of the left field stands, and they're blowing stiff from left across toward right. But the flags at the top of the right field stands are kind of blowing right toward left.
So it's always the swirl. I think well, what do I know? I don't come here. I just come here for 3 games and take a hike like you, Gare.
Back in your American League days, that was a different ballpark. 1-2 coming. And Kadire gets a piece of it. Did you ever make a trip to Yankee Stadium
as
an Indian?
Yeah, I did. And I didn't play. I was hurt. I played 1 game, and at that point I knew I was finished, and it was the only time in my career I really didn't want to be in the lineup, Gary, to be honest with you. I was afraid of embarrassing myself out there.
Because that was before interleague play began. Kadire pops one up. And Stephen Drew, battling the wind, stays with it. And Pineda, after being given the big lead, has himself a 1-2-3 inning. Middle of the 4th, 6-0 Yankees. To go in this series will be on SNY tomorrow. ESPN has it Sunday night. Then the Mets go to Miami for 3, come home to play 4 with Washington and 2 with Baltimore on the next homestand. Mets will play 4 against the Orioles this year, 2 at Citi Field and 2 at Camden Yards. They'll do the same thing with Toronto this year, although that one is a consecutive series, 2 at home, 2 in Toronto in a row, kind of the way the Mets and Yankees played last year. Matt Harvey gets the start tomorrow. Jacoby Ellsbury pops up the first pitch into foul ground. Should stay in with the wind. And Campbell stays with it for the out. So Ellsbury homered his last time up. Fouls out on the first pitch in the bottom of the 4th. Mets also go to Tampa Bay for a weekend series, and they host Boston, right?
Host Boston.
Playing the American League East, which is why they're playing 6 against the Yankees this year instead of 4. But unlike past years where the games were in more temperate climate, this year 3 in April and 3 in September. And those September games, you know, if things keep going the way they're going for these two teams, should be phenomenal. I mean, that's one thing we've never had in this Subway Series, because the games are always generally done by July, is meaningful pennant race games.
September 18th to 20th.
Alex Rodriguez on deck, and Gardner slaps one the other way over toward the line. Neuenhuis to grab the line drive, and there are 2 out. So DeGrom sent back out there for the 4th inning, throws 3 pitches to get 2 outs, and he'll face A-Rod with the bases empty. Of course, the Mets and Yankees have played meaningful games in October.
That's right.
That was in 2000 when they met in the World Series.
Who let the dogs out?
Oh gosh, don't bring that song up.
Yeah, the Baja Men, they played live during the World Series.
After game 3, when the Mets 1-1 at home, and they played that song, I said, that's it, series over.
So yeah, the Baja Men, they came out and played Who Let the Dogs Out live, and then Bobby Jones threw the first pitch of the game, and Jeter hit it over the left field fence, and that was that.
I said that series, I just said it's over. The Yankees are going to get upset about that, and they're going to come out and take care of business, and they did.
I have to say, it is a little odd to have a Mets-Yankees series without Derek Jeter being even on the roster. A-Rod drives one to center. Lagares has it lined up, and that retires the side. A 6-pitch inning for Jacob deGrom. That sends us off to the 5th in the Bronx with the Yankees up 6-0. Getting set for the trip home. 1997 was the first year of Subway Series play. The Yankees have won 56 and lost 42, but the last 2 years the Mets have won 6 of 8. They swept 4 2 years ago and then split 4 last year. Daniel Murphy leads off in the 5th inning against Michael Pineda, who's given up just 1 hit. A 2-out double to Kirk Neuenhuis in the 3rd. Murphy flied out to left his first time up and takes a fastball for a strike.
I was thinking that the Yankees were more prepared for this weather than the Mets. They played in Detroit the last 4 days and it's been snowy and in the 30s. Probably feels like a warm day to the Yanks.
Maybe so.
I was talking to Michael Kay before the game. He said it was absolutely miserable in Detroit.
Is that a redundancy?
There he is.
Yeah.
Hello, Mike. Hello, Al.
There's Audrey.
Al got his head in the shot.
He knew.
Al likes the spotlight.
No. Al's a chatterbox.
He was on his 18th cup of coffee
tell you
before
what,
the game started.
Folks, if you're in a hurry, don't start a conversation with Al.
We were talking about this earlier. You know, most pitchers, the day that they pitch, they like to be left completely alone. I know you were like that, Ronnie. You don't want to have a conversation with anybody. Skimmed over the bag and to share with a beautiful play. The 5-time Gold Glover throws out Murphy 1 away.
Well, they don't give the gold away for nothing. He's on the line. He knocks it down with the heel of his glove. No, sorry about that. It was really the webbing. He closed it too quickly, but makes a beautiful play. That's fun.
So Murphy retired, 1 out, and Eric Campbell coming up. So on the days that Al Leiter pitched, he would hold court in front of his locker. There'd be 4 or 5 people sitting around laughing and joking and having a grand old time 2 hours before he pitched.
Wow. Could not do it. That was miserable. I always thought Al would be great in politics. Right?
Always thought he'd be a senator. Still has time.
Yes, he does.
Big Al.
He's got the warm jacket on.
Is that considered being a homer? They would kill us if we had a Met jacket.
You don't want to throw it on an ex-player, do you?
Come on. Give me my Met jacket.
I recall one time in a spring training game in our first season, a member of this booth, and he will remain unnamed, put on, it was cold, and got a Mets sweatshirt to put on because it was a little chilly in Port St. Lucie, and the reaction was not positive.
That's right.
And that never happened again. Campbell drives one to left field. Back goes Gardner. Lots of room out there. Gardner to the wall. Can't catch it. Campbell on his way to second. Ellsbury backed it up nicely. And Campbell stops at second with a long double. Gardner got pretty close to it.
Picks up the wall here. Just out of his reach.
Well, Campbell got his first taste of Yankee Stadium there. I mean, how hard you got to hit a ball that stays in the ballpark.
And one went almost 400 feet to what used to be known as Death Valley back in the old ballpark.
Can't hit it any better. It's a deep part of the ballpark. And as Gary mentioned, back in the days of DiMaggio, there was a lot more left field out there, was there not?
Was that, what, 407 to left center back in the old ballpark? 463 to center field at one point?
You hit some triples, couldn't you?
Campbell at second with 1 out. Wilmer Flores takes a fastball strike. Flores had a comebacker his first time up. So the Mets have their second hit. Both have been doubles. Monument Park getting a little more crowded these days.
Did not someone hit an inside the park home run, hit it back in there when those monuments?
Oh yeah,
they were in play.
They used to be on the field.
Yeah,
out near the warning track in center field. Ball would rattle around out there. We saw Johnny Ellis hit one out there, and I think he got a double out of it. He wasn't very fast.
The catcher?
Yeah. Might have been a triple. Pineda has struck out 5. Ahead on Flores 0-2.
And Wilmer takes one the other way for a base hit. Campbell to third. He'll be held up there as Beltran gets it in. So back-to-back base hits for Campbell and Flores, and the Mets have something working here in the fifth.
Well, I tell you what, Wilmer Flores every day is changing my mind. He's a major league player. He can hit.
Flores now with a 7-game hitting streak. Ball nicely charged by Beltran. He still doesn't move the way he used to, but he's still a Gold Glove outfielder in terms of the way he approaches the ball.
So a chance for Plawecki to pick up his first big league RBI.
Kevin struck out his first time up today. Met fans have been sitting on their hands, start to have something to cheer about. First and third and 1 out. And the breaking ball in for a strike.
It's almost like a slurve, a hard slurve.
He kind of pulls his body to first base and brings the slider with him. That's the one he throws for a strike. He's got a nastier one he throws for the strikeout.
There's 2 different speeds. Campbell at third, Flores at first and 1 out. And Plawecki tried to hold. Falls behind 0-2.
These big sweeping breaking balls, righty righty, lefty lefty, they're tough for the hitter.
So what's the best way to approach it?
Wait for don't swing it the one away, or try to go the opposite field. I mean, do you look for it, Garrett? There's something about a sweeper that gets you out in front.
So as a lefty, what's the worst one you ever faced?
Well, there was
Alton?
Ramon Hernandez, the old side armor from the Cubs and the Pirates. Was it Ramon?
Yep.
Candelaria? I mean, Candy was wicked. I mean, Candy, you asked me the other day, did they throw 92-mile-an-hour sliders back then? He was one that did.
1-2 to Plawecki with Neuenhuis on deck. He just got a piece of that slider to stay alive.
One of the things they do, and usually it's not this early, but against young players that just been called up, you're going to see a steady dose of breaking balls because you have to let them know that you can hit it. One of the things Pineda does not do, if you've noticed, you see his pitch count.
That
great strikes to ball ratio,
wow.
Amazing. But he does not throw inside to right-handers, if you've noticed. So you can sit middle plate away.
And Plawecki's a guy we've seen. He hits the ball to right field. Doesn't strike out a lot, although he struck out his first time today. Goes down again.
6 strikeouts for Pineda, 2 down in the inning.
Well, pretty textbook here. Sliders away, sinkers down and in. Went chasing.
He's got that hard split finger changeup also that he can throw to the right-handers and left-handers, and that one fooled Plawecki.
So 2 out. It's left to Neuenhuis,
who poked one inside the third base bag for a double his first time up. He was the first Met base runner. Campbell at third, Flores at first, and 2 out. We've seen in the past from Neuenhuis, when he hits a double, he often hits more. Tonight's high-speed pitch comes from Tom Warner Cable and Joy Better. He had a stretch last year where he had 4 straight doubles over the course of 2 or 3 games. Was it in Milwaukee that he had that big night?
Yes, it was. Good call.
dribble down to Teixeira, and Pineda able to get out of trouble in the top of the 5th. Mets leave runners at first and third. Halfway through in the Bronx, Yankees 6, Mets nothing.
Those days, the Bronx was an outpost. There wasn't a lot around the ballpark in those days.
Wow.
Some great shots.
Oh, really?
Mark Teixeira has already had a big night, a pair of 2-run homers. He leads off in the home fifth.
Well, well, well. Got a track field right there. How about that?
I remember when I used to come to the Yankee Stadium that I consider old, the one right before this one.
Well, the old Yankee Stadium that opened in '23 was then renovated.
Yes.
So the Yankees played a couple of years at Shea in the '70s, and then in 2009, this new ballpark opened.
And that ballpark on the bottom right that you saw there, that's where the old Yankee Stadium was, the one before this one. Right there, down on the bottom right.
Bottom right, yes.
Playing fields there.
That's where Babe and Lou hit.
Out to left field, and Neuenhuis is there. And so Teixeira retired for the first time tonight. So DeGrom at least saving the bullpen here. He's retired 6 in a row after the carnage in the 3rd inning, when 7 straight Yankees reached
They
base.
got a ton of retired numbers now.
Well, basically all of the single digits are going to be gone once they retire Derek Jeter's number 2.
No, the double-A, Yogi and
Bill Dickey.
That's right. That's what I thought.
16 Whitey Ford, 37 Casey Stengel, and on and on.
They'll have 242s there at some point too, right?
Mariano
Yeah,
Rivera will go up
definitely.
next to Jackie Robinson. Call strike to Brian McCann, who's 2 for 2. They're going to retire Bernie Williams, number 51. He officially retired today, which is kind of funny since he's been out of the game for 9 years.
But did you find it funny? Everyone was talking about him signing retirement papers. Have you ever heard of that?
No.
No. I've never heard of retirement papers.
I mean, Bernie had a very productive and nice Yankee career, but they're going to retire his number as well. Swing and a miss, and McCann is out on strikes. Only the 2nd strikeout of the night for DeGrom. That'll give you an idea how his night has gone.
And a good slider down and in. Very similar to the pitch he threw to Gregorius that struck him out.
You know, it's an interesting conversation. The Mets have been so stingy about retiring numbers. Only one player has had his number retired in 54 years of the franchise, whereas the Yankees have retired a plethora of numbers. And, you know, every franchise has their own parameters for judging those things. Now, of course, the Yankees have had a great history.
Yeah.
Tons of Hall of Famers, lots of deserving guys, but it's an interesting call, isn't it?
Yeah, you would think there would be more than Tom Terrific out there. You know, it's been over 50 years now, as you said.
Well,
But I do agree, it should be something very special.
Beltran flies one out to Lagares. That retires the side. Another quick inning for Jacob deGrom. He's now settled in to retire 8 in a row. But the Yankees, with some early damage, leading at 6-0 in the new park. Was able to tough it out for a couple more innings after giving up 6 runs in the first 3, and now it appears he is done for the night.
You know, it's interesting. Did you see Dan Wortham went over there to shake his hand? He did not want to take his hand out of his pocket. He did not want to shake hands. He wanted to keep going out there.
Either that or he was cold.
No, he didn't want to shake his hand.
Third time around the batting order for Michael Pineda. Curtis Granderson is 0 for 2. Granderson has struck out and then banked one off Pineda's glove for a ground out that ended the third. Lagares and Duda to follow. Mets have been limited to 3 hits by Pineda, who has not walked a batter and struck out 6. Pineda now for the season, 2 walks, 26 strikeouts. So DeGrom with his first bad outing of the season, and one of the rare hiccups in his straight ahead to the top major league career.
Well, this ballpark's right field comes into play, it seems, every single game.
Granderson smacks one down the left field line, foul. Well, game 2 of this series will be on SNY tomorrow. Matt Harvey pitches against CC Sabathia. Our coverage begins at 3:30 tomorrow afternoon, only on SNY.
Well, it should be a great matchup. Harvey, of course, going out there against the Yankees here, the Bronx, but CC Sabathia coming off 8 strong innings in his last start.
Be very interested to watch Sabathia, who has really been forced to evolve now as a pitcher. I mean, he was such a dominant starter for so long, but he doesn't have that dominant stuff anymore.
He was just on attack all the time. Just loved to use his fastball, threw it 96, 97 miles an hour, more like 92 now. So has to throw more breaking pitches, has to throw more changeups.
Granderson grounds one foul. And from Matt Harvey's standpoint, you have to think this is going to be something of an emotional test for him. Grew up as a Yankee fan. Right. He's never pitched at Yankee Stadium before, and he finally gets an opportunity to do that tomorrow.
And if the Mets don't come back, he's out there to stop the losing streak. I mean, that's, that one. But you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, be the stopper.
You're trying to win series. I mean, that's.
Chopped past the mound. Drew, quick toss, not in time. Granderson with an infield hit.
Gregorius had to make that play, not Drew.
Yes, agreed. And the reason why, folks, is that Gregorius' momentum is carrying him towards first base for a strong throw, where the second baseman has to make a throw running towards the third base dugout off balance.
So the Mets get the leadoff man on for the first time tonight. Their 4th hit against Michael Pineda. Lagares thrown out on a nice play by Gregorius his last time up. 0 for 2 tonight. Started the night with a 10-game hitting streak. And a high strike called by Doug Edding.
Wow. Again, they're all over him. That ball's up, and Lagares doesn't like it. The bench doesn't like it. And Eddings doesn't like it.
Hey, rabbits.
And Eddings says, I don't want to hear it anymore. He just threw somebody out of the game.
Oh, you know what?
It was not Terry Collins. It was somebody down the bench who just got tossed.
So what do you got eyes in the side of your head? You can see who made the noise.
Well, John Neese is the one who's screaming at him, so it looks like Neese is the guy who's been thrown out of the game, and he goes down the steps.
Wow.
Takes away his pinch hitting chance.
So we used to always, as a pitch in the dirt, wild pitch, we used to always tell those umpires, pay more attention what's going on the field. You're having a tough enough day as it is. Paying attention to us in here.
Right through the 5-hole on McCann, and that gets Granderson to second on the wild pitch. Well, it was not the first time that Eddings heard noise from the Mets dugout, and I guess he finally had heard enough. So Granderson at second with nobody out. 1-1 to Lagares with Duda on deck. And it's lifted to right center. Granderson tagging as Beltran makes the catch, and Granderson will go over to third. So that's the first out of the inning. And for the second straight inning, the Mets got a runner to third with less than 2 out.
Well, if I had to ask you, though, would Nice be last or next to last on your list for guys who get thrown out of the game for yelling at the umpire?
I don't like the fact that he's going to pitch the third game in this series, and that happened.
Well, he won't have the same home plate umpire.
But they have long memories. They are a clique down there. Trust me.
He'll have Jim Wolf, a pitcher's brother, behind the plate on Sunday night. I guess now that Randy is Randy retired, or is he just between teams?
He's pulling a Bernie Williams.
Waiting for the papers to come through. Infield back for Duda, who's lined out and struck out. He takes one inside, ball 1. Randy has resurfaced a number of times over the last few years. You know, those lefties.
That's right.
Always a job for them.
Pineda just looks like a big oak tree out there. Jesus, huge.
Duda flies one to left. Granderson tagging. Gardner throwing. And the Mets get on the board. Sacrifice fly for Lucas Duda, his 10th RBI of the year, and it cuts the Yankee lead to 6-1.
Well, you got to take those garbage RBIs. Love it when you get set up. Garner does everything right here, but watch him take too many steps. And he couldn't get the ball out of his glove, and he doesn't have a strong enough arm to get the speed. The speedy Granderson.
So a single, a wild pitch, and a couple of fly balls get the Mets' first run home. And now Michael Kadire bats with 2 out and nobody on. Kadire's lined to center and popped to second, 0 for 2. And he flies one out to right. Beltran back onto the warning track and has just enough room to end the inning. Mets scratch out their first run of the night, but trail 6-1 in the 6th.
Franco, line drive, base hit into right field. Henderson scores. Here comes Alfonso. Here comes O'Neal storm to the plate. Alfonso slides. He's safe. The Mets win it. The Mets win it. Matt Franco with a line drive, single to right, and he's being mobbed by his teammates.
1999, one of the classic Mets-Yankees finishes.
no names on the back of the uniforms.
They did that for 1 year because they liked the way the Yankee uniform looked with no names. Met fans went up in arms. Next year they had the names.
He did. Well, Sean Martin pitched a couple of days ago, came in, got 2 quick outs, but then walked Freddie Freeman and A.J. Przinsky, 2 left-handers.
Chase Headley turns around about right-handed against Gil Martin and takes a strike.
Boy, speaking of walks, boy, the Atlanta bullpen. Shame, all those walks. The Mets just took advantage of that.
They made a couple of changes in that bullpen today. Headley 1 for 2, single to right his last time, slaps this one down to Duda, and he'll take it himself for the first out. So DeGrom threw 84 pitches over 5 innings, allowed 6 runs and 8 hits, walked 2, struck out 2. So as ERA go up from 0.93 to 2.96, that'll happen this time of year.
That's right. 3 taters. That's not something that he's used to.
Second time in his career he's given up multiple home runs in a game. Gave up 3 to the Dodgers in his second big league start last June.
Did you say that matches most runs he's given up in a game, right? 6 against the Cardinals last year?
Yep. Good breaking ball by Gil Martin to get ahead 0-2. So DeGrom's next start will be against the Nationals when the Mets get back home next Thursday.
Boy, they got some late flights, the Mets, coming up.
Well, they got the Sunday night game here, and then they fly to Miami, and then they have a night game in Miami Wednesday, and then they fly home and play the next night.
That's right. Montero's in there. That's why he's going to pitch against the Nationals. I got it.
Montero goes Tuesday.
So they're going to get in very late with the night game Sunday against the Yankees. What, 3 in the morning?
Oh, more, 4.
4, and play that night.
8 o'clock game Sunday.
And then getaway day is a Wednesday day game, and I'll be on that flight back with them. Night game, excuse me. At 7 o'clock, I'll be on that flight with them and get back at 3 in the morning.
I would have to bet that DeGrom will fly ahead.
Oh, he has to.
Yes.
Right?
Absolutely.
And for the Monday game, that's Nice. I would imagine he'd fly.
No, Nice is pitching Sunday night.
Right. So it's going to be
G. I would imagine he'd fly ahead to Miami.
He should fly ahead. I'm flying ahead to Miami here.
We have to keep you rested for your 100 pitches.
I got the 9 a.m. to Miami.
New York Mets baseball is brought to you by Time Warner Cable. Enjoy more shows on more screens. Time Warner Cable, enjoy better. What city you in?
I was thinking, obviously, you don't have a stalker.
I am gonna I'm gonna cut out early on Sunday. Have a nice afternoon in Miami.
Stephen Drew takes a breaking ball outside, 2-2. Drew hit a sacrifice fly to drive in a run in the 3rd. That's the final run that DeGrom gave up. He retired his last 8 batters after his very difficult 3rd inning. And Gil Martin finds the inside corner, strike 3. 2 out.
Stayed inside.
That breaking ball that doesn't look good to a hitter. Boy, that grip looks more like a changeup, doesn't it?
You might be right.
So 2 out for Didi Gregorius, who has struck out and flied out 0 for 2. And he pops one a mile high. Murphy waiting for it. And Gil Martin has himself a 1-2-3 inning, so 11 straight Yankees have been retired. Mets come up in the 7th, still down 6-1. tonight.
You know, we all talked about it before the game. That was going to be the pitch that the Mets were going to have to handle at some point to get to Pineda. They have not been able to. His first 15 outs of the game, 13 came on sliders, a couple on changeups. Just nasty by Pineda so far.
No walks, 6 strikeouts. He's allowed just a run on 4 hits. He starts the 7th with a fastball strike to Murphy. Daniel 0 for 2. Chats with Doug Eddings about that call. Teixeira made a nice play going to the line to take a potential hit away from Murphy his last time up. Murphy, Campbell, and Flores for the Mets in the 7th. Michael Pineda made just 13 starts for the Yankees last year, but when he pitched, he was terrific. At a 1.89 ERA, but his season was marred by the pine tar incident in April when he had the pine tar in his neck and he was suspended for 10 games. Then shortly thereafter diagnosed with a torn muscle on his back and missed 3 months. His career has been one of fits and starts. All-Star as a rookie with the Mariners, missed 2 years with labrum surgery, then all those difficulties last year. But when he's on the mound, he's good. And now at age 26, hoping to kick his career back in gear.
Well, the Yankees traded for him. They sent Jesus Montero, who was supposed to be one of their prime prospects, a catcher who really couldn't catch. But was an excellent hitter. Sent him to Seattle. He's been a bust over there.
Had a big problem with an ice cream sandwich last year. It's a good changeup by Pineda to strike out Murphy. 7 strikeouts. Out of town scores brought to you by Dodge. Born Dodge. Braves and Phillies, no score. Aaron Harang on the mound for the Phils against his last team. The Reds have gone in front of the Cubs 3-2. Anthony Rizzo a home run in that game for the Cubs. Nats and Marlins 2-2 in the 6th. Jason Hayward just homer for the Cardinals. They're up 2-0 on the hapless Brewers.
Hapless is right. What have they got? 2 wins?
3. They won last night.
Oh,
Kyle Loesch pitched a good game.
It's a real barn burner in Philadelphia. I see Atlanta and Philly. Standing room only.
Probably a little chilly down there.
Oh, I bet.
Later on, Zach Greinke goes for the Dodgers. Garrett Cole goes for his 3rd win for the Pirates.
These Dodgers-Padres games have become must-watch TV, right?
How about the big brawl in Kansas City?
Well, the Royals, Giordano Ventura got ejected again.
And he provoked that.
Well, he's done that more than once.
He needs to have a line drive, then get him to duck.
I mean, he did a little mea culpa after the game, said, I understand my actions are putting me in a bad light, but I mean, at some point, don't you have to grow up?
That's after he talked to his lawyer, that's what he said.
2-2 to Campbell, who drove a long double to left center his last time up.
After he was Mirandized.
Did you see Samardzija come out of nowhere?
Yeah, he was taking on everybody. 5 players got ejected in that game last night.
2 pitchers, Sale and Samardzija for the White Sox.
And Volquez took a swat at him and missed him.
But Samardzija. But the Royals won the game in the 13th inning. They're 12-4, and it's almost like they won the pennant last year, and they feel as though everybody is calling it a fluke, and they're trying to fight their way into some kind of respect. And I don't know if that's the right way to do it, but so far they've been successful.
Well, it's a way to get everybody angry at you, that's for sure.
Well, you guys like to fight.
No. Well, we didn't like to fight. We just always did fight.
7th pitch coming to Campbell, and he hits one back to Pineda. And the 2nd time tonight he's used that underhand toss. 2 out.
You know, that year when Ray took the poke at Eric Davis, I remember I was at first base, obviously, and I went, oh my goodness, here we go again. That's the only time I ever said that. I said, good Lord, got another one?
But it's an interesting formulation, isn't it? Hansel Robles getting ready for his big league debut out in the Mets bullpen. As Flores hits one slowly to Gregorius, and running toss on target side retired. 1-2-3 inning for Pineda. He's got 7 solid innings under his belt, up 6-1. Medical Center, made for New York. The line score is brought to you by Dunkin' Donuts. America runs on Dunkin'. For every run the Mets score this weekend against the Yankees, you get $1 off each ticket to see the Mets at home April 30th through May 6th against the Nationals and Orioles. Cheer on your Mets all weekend long and save. Log on to Mets.com/runs for more information. You can score a few more runs, save the folks a few bucks.
Oh.
Keith's favorite, cotton candy.
Well,
all blue.
It never was blue when I was a kid. It was always pink, wasn't it, Gary?
It was. They've upgraded the cotton candy over the years.
Wait till he gets his hands on the doorknobs when he gets home. His mom's going to have a cow.
Is that why you don't like cotton candy? Was it some trauma in your childhood?
Did you leave a trail in the house and your mom reprimanded you?
Sean Gilmartin worked a 1-2-3-6, stays on for the bottom of the 7th. They'll face the top of the Yankee batting order, Ellsbury, Gardner, and Rodriguez. The Yankees got 2 in the first and 4 in the third against Jacob deGrom, and that's been plenty for Michael Pineda so far.
I remember when I was a kid listening to Neil Young songs, he used candy floss, and I had to try to find out what candy floss was, but in Canada that's cotton candy.
Ah. Well, there's a little cool breeze that came right through this up here in the booth.
Doug Eddings going with the short sleeves. Still got a little hot at John Deese, ejected him from the game.
Right.
Ellsbury hit a line drive home run into the seats in right field back in the third, his first home run of the year, 1 for 3 on the night. Yankees 6 runs, 8 hits. The Mets 1 run and 4 hits. And the breaking ball by Gilmartin misses for ball 1.
I always find it interesting when a pitcher like Gilmartin, who's been a starter his entire career, makes the team in the bullpen and goes straight from the stretch. No more full windup.
I've never really understood that, and it's a phenomenon that's happened over the last couple of decades. What is the point of ditching your windup?
Well, what they're thinking is that if you always throw the same way, when you come out of the bullpen, you're going to have much better control than switching back and forth from windup to stretch. But to me, come on, from the windup, you always got a little extra juice on the ball.
Yeah, agreed.
I mean, if it made sense for relievers, why wouldn't it make sense for starters?
Yeah.
Right? Check swing Tapper. If it stays fair, they'll never get him, and it rolls to a stop. Lucky hit for Ellsbury, and he's aboard to start the 7th. Yeah, you should smile.
Completely fooled on this breaking ball. Check swing, and he couldn't have bunted it better.
I mean, that ball almost always goes foul, but it stayed true once it hit the grass.
So Ellsbury aboard. And now Brett Gardner is 2 for 3. A couple of base hits to right center. On the second one, he tried to stretch it into a double, and Granderson threw him out. Then he lined out to left field his last time up, so he's hit the ball solidly all night. He always seems to hit the ball well against the Mets. Gardner now in his 8th year with the Yankees.
Has he got the longest tenure?
Well,
other than well, you had the it's hard to judge that one.
Teixeira's in his 7th year with the Yankees.
It's 2 terms for A-Rod.
Yeah, it's kind of like Grover Cleveland.
There you go.
Had Benjamin Harrison in between them.
Grover was a New Yorker, right? Was he not?
He's from Ohio.
Ohio?
They named a town after him.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
2-1 to Gardner. Did they actually name Cleveland?
No, I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Maybe Anna Cleve.
Oh, very good. They did that.
Was there an A in Anne of Cleves?
There was an Anne of Cleves. Yes.
So wasn't there an A in Cleves? And not a Cleves?
No. Well, no.
I think now we're getting a little off track.
Yes, it's all right. We'll get back to it.
3-1 now to Gardner with A-Rod on deck. DeGrom went 5, allowed 6 runs and 8 hits. And Gilmartin getting his first taste of the Subway Series. And a snap throw, but Ellsbury standing right on the bag. Ellsbury stole 39 bases last year. He's got 4 this year, but he's been caught 3 times. But with Ellsbury and Gardner at the top, they've got a lot of speed. He's taking off. Ground ball to Murphy, and he boots it. He tried to make the tag before he had the ball, and instead he gets nothing. Wow. Another head scratcher for Daniel Murphy.
2 for 2. Well, this is just not the right play.
Well, he said it yesterday when he threw home. Sometimes you just have to scratch your head, and this is another one of those. So Gil Martin will exit after giving up a scratch hit and an error behind him. And Hansel Robles will come in to make his major league debut. Call to the bullpen brought to you by your Tri-State BMW Centers. 6-1 Yankees in the 7th. We'll be right back.
Journey. He was on the 40-man roster for the Mets as a starter. Couldn't make it work. Was taken off. They changed him to a reliever in the middle of last season, and he has taken off, and that's why he's in the big leagues.
Kid, here's your big league debut. Here's Alex Rodriguez. 0 for 2 and a walk tonight, and A-Rod takes a fastball for a strike at 94 from Robles. Robles was in 5 games for Vegas before being called up, and he had great numbers. 7 2/3 innings, didn't allow a run, 1 walk, 10 strikeouts, so he was on a roll when he got the big league call. Also had a great Dominican Winter League this past winter. He had a 0.77 ERA in winter ball with just 3 hits allowed in 11 2/3, so he is on the upswing.
You gotta love a guy that's, not finding his mark as a starter. They ask him to try the bullpen, and he takes off. Didn't hang his head.
One and 1 to A-Rod, and it's up and away.
And it slings it up there, 3/4.
Mark Teixeira, who's already at a big night, waiting on deck. Broken bat. Flores diving. Can't make a play. And the bases are loaded. So it's an infield hit for A-Rod.
moves off the center here, and Flores tries to keep it in the infield and does it. Otherwise, the runner scores. But the Mets are in big trouble right here. This game's about to be blown big time open.
Well, that's where the lack of range for Flores hurts you. You know, a speedier shortstop gets to that ball and at least gets it out. So here's Teixeira, bases loaded, nobody out. Already has 2 homers and 4 RBIs tonight, and goes after the first pitch fastball and fouls it off. Teixeira hit a 2-run homer down the right field line in the first inning and duplicated it in the third. Flied out his last time up. Ellsbury at third, Gardner at second, Rodriguez at first, and nobody out. So Robles with a spot of trouble to deal with in his first big league game. He's already broken a bat. Foul tip on the fastball, 95, 0-2.
He's a hard thrower. Beat him. Movement too.
Bases loaded without the ball leaving the infield. 2 infield hits, sandwiching an error. And Teixeira pops it up. Campbell should have room. And that's the first out of the inning. So Robles gets his first out of the big leagues. 1 away, and Brian McCann coming up. By the way, Keith, Grover Cleveland, born in Jersey, raised in upstate New York.
Guess what, too? He was the governor of New York.
Really?
Yes. Gene Orza.
Not of
former
Ohio.
Gene Orza just texted me. He said he's very disappointed in you Ivy Leaguers. Especially you, Ron.
Really? Well, wait a second. Ron has information about the origin of Cleveland, Ohio.
That's right. At least I have that.
McCann takes a fastball for a strike.
Named after General Moses Cleveland. But, Gene, you're right. Should be very disappointed in us.
What was your major?
What was my major? Well, it's 2 majors, but it was like American Studies.
But it wasn't American history.
No.
So there you go.
Well, 1883 to 1885, Grover Cleveland was governor of New York.
That's before he was president the first time?
I'm not sure.
Our 22nd and 24th president. 1-1 to McCann. And that fastball on the inside edge, nicely done by Robles. 1-2.
Now, Grover Cleveland was the Republican, and Benjamin Harrison, I believe, was the Democrat that got in the middle of that sandwich there.
Benjamin Harrison, I believe, the great-grandson of William Henry Harrison.
History lesson.
Our shortest-term president.
That's right.
Is that right? Great-grandson? Or some great-grandnephew?
Sure. Nephew, yeah.
Zachary Taylor didn't serve very long.
But longer than William Henry Harrison. He was 30 days.
Yep. He died, what, in the spring in Washington?
Pneumonia, I believe it was. Didn't wear a top coat to his inaugural address. 1-2 to McCann with the bases loaded. That's a pass.
Here comes Gene again. He's hot. Cleveland was the Democrat. Harrison was the Republican.
You're really disappointing. Yeah. At least we all are.
I'm disappointed Gene doesn't have much more to do on a Friday night.
I don't know if we're clear on this. Gene Orza was the general counsel for years when I was playing and Ronnie for the Major League Players Baseball Association.
Maybe they need to invite him back.
A dear friend. And a wine connoisseur, Gene.
Robles ahead 1-2 on McCann. And he fouls it away. What kind of red did Cleveland prefer? Ellsbury at third, Gardner at second, A-Rod at first with 1 out. 6-1 Yankees in the 7th. Also Robles trying to deal with a lot of traffic in his first big league game. None of it his fault. Again, the 1-2. Another fastball foul back, dialing it up to 96. Now, I Are you reluctant to throw McCann a slider because that might wind up in his happy zone and wind up out of the ballpark?
No, as long as you know what you're doing. It's 1-2. The count's in your favor. Bounce it. He wants to swing the bat. Bases loaded. Guys love to swing the bat. Use it against them. That aggressiveness.
Too high with that fastball, and it's 2-2. McCann, when we first saw him with the Braves, was a left center field hitter who's become a dead pull hitter as his career has gone along. Ninth pitch of the at bat, and he got him with a high fastball. So he kept firing fastballs, and Robles has his first big league strikeout.
Well, there's no denying the arm here. He can bring it.
Just a four-seamer that just takes off from Robles.
So the Yankees had two bases loaded, nobody out. Now 2 away, and it's left to Beltran. 0 for 2 and a walk on his 38th birthday, and Robles sails that one high.
Ellsbury coming down that line trying to induce a balk on the youngster. He did yesterday, right, to Anibal Sanchez in Detroit.
Yeah, Sanchez started the windup and then tried to step off and got all confused. The umpires got confused too. There's a good fastball by Beltran, 1-1. Took them a while to detect the ball.
Well, Rob Thompson, who's the third base coach, Joe Espada's away from the ball club. He detected it, and finally the umpires kind of figured it out. But Sanchez, you can quicken your motion to the plate, but you can't step off while you're in your motion.
Exactly.
By the way, Joe Espada away from the Yankees for a good reason. His wife just gave birth the other day, and so Rob Thompson, normally the bench coach, filling in as the third base coach. Espada used to be the third base coach in Miami.
That's right.
Two and 1 to Beltran, and Carlos pops one foul. 2-2. Carlos Beltran spent 6.5 years as a Met. Maybe the best outfielder they've ever had.
Well, he had some monster seasons. That one season he had what, 41 home runs?
41 home runs, won the Gold Glove. So is he. The natural successor. 2-2 coming from Robles, and foul back.
Wasn't even a switch hitter after his first year in pro ball. He taught himself. How good is that?
American League Rookie of the Year with Kansas City. Went to Houston in a deadline deal where he had the postseason for the ages, and signed that big free agent contract with the Mets. Had a not very good first year, and then exploded in 2006. And now a full count.
Was it 05 that he collided with Mike Cameron in the outfield?
Like two missiles in San Diego. Beltran in center field, Cameron in right.
Much like when Mookie and Dykstra collided, remember, in left center field.
Beltran fractured bones in his face, and his credit came back less than a week later. Merry-go-round will be in motion. 3-2 and 2 out. And Beltran swings and misses at the slider. Robles with back-to-back strikeouts to finish off his first big league inning. Robles works out of a bases loaded, nobody out jam and gets through it unscathed. Aha! There's Grover Cleveland, former governor of New York, two-time president of the United States. Our guys know how to get their pictures.
First president to be married in the White House, too.
Suki, Corey, and the gang from 5 to 9 on the Pix 11 Morning News, where every story hits home. Defensive change for the Yankees. One ex-Met replaces another in right field. Chris Young comes in to replace Beltran for defense. Kevin Plawecki leads off the 8th inning against Michael Pineda, who's been in there all the way. Plawecki's been up twice, struck out both times. Pineda about to throw his 90th pitch of the night, and he comes up and in. Dylan Betances getting ready in the Yankee bullpen. Didn't know if he'd be available today. Got 4 outs yesterday in Detroit.
It's interesting to have him up in a 6-1 game.
Plawecki pops one up. Back comes McCann. Should have room. 1 out. Plawecki retired, and we check in with Steve Gelb. Steve?
Darius, Plawecki walks back to the dugout, going to see his friend Travis d'Arnaud. Will be back in there, I'm sure, to give him a kind word here or there, as he's been doing all week long. A lot's been made of that relationship and how d'Arnaud has been so great to Kevin Plawecki on Monday, taking him out to dinner, showing no signs of insecurity whatsoever. And it's meant a lot to Plawecki. I was speaking to him before the game, and Plawecki told me that it actually started on Sunday, the day that Travis d'Arnaud got injured and Kevin Plawecki got called up, and those two are close friends. It's 100% true. They've been friends since last year, really. And Plawecki said it was a little bit odd. It was bittersweet. He was excited to get called up, and he wanted to reach out to Travis, but he wasn't sure what Travis's mindset would be at that time. He was a little tentative to get in touch with d'Arnaud. Sure enough, d'Arnaud actually was one of the first to get in touch with Plawecki. Sent him a text message congratulating him on his promotion, telling him he deserved it, and telling him he was going to kill it when he got up here. And as Plawecki tells the story, he said it totally disarmed me, made me realize I was going into a clubhouse where I didn't need to walk on eggshells. I could go do my thing and try and hold down the fort as we await Travis's return.
Neuenhuis retired on the comebacker, 2 away. Well, that is, you like to think that that's always the case, but I guess it isn't.
Oh, it definitely isn't. I mean, that is a rare exception. That Travis, I saw him today, he's bounding around the clubhouse, getting his whatever work he can get in with that broken hand or the pinky there. But class move by Travis, and a little indication, I don't know how much of an indication is of team first kind of concept that the Mets are trying to embrace here in 2015.
Curtis Granderson has scored the only Met run today after an infield hit in the 6th. One of only 4 hits allowed by Michael Pineda, who has not walked a batter and struck out 7. Ball and a strike to Granderson. Eric Goodell is up in the Mets bullpen. So I was in the Mets clubhouse today, and Plawecki's sitting in front of his locker, and I look above his locker and I see they've misspelled his nameplate. They left out the C in Plawecki, and I guess he hadn't noticed, and I said, does that happen to you often? He goes, what? I pointed up. He goes, oh. And Eric Goodell is sitting 2 seats away. He immediately looked up. Turns out Goodell's nameplate had been misspelled in the home clubhouse at Citi Field.
Wow.
So he was checking to make sure that they got his right, which they did.
They did, okay.
Yes, they did.
You and I never had to worry about that, Keith. Pretty straightforward.
Yep. Yes.
3-1 to Granderson, and he flies one foul down the left field side.
Well, we were talking about him. Samardzija probably has a problem.
You know what? When the names are really hard, I think they check them.
Well, we do
a few times, right?
I mean, we do that before we have a tough name.
Can you do Samardzija?
Well, it's Samardzija.
Very good. That's outstanding. That's a full Yastrzemski right there.
It is.
Line to the left center, and Granderson's got a base hit. This one goes up the gap to the wall.
Granderson, who's got more hits to left field already this year than he might have had all of last year. That's his 2nd double of the season.
And I love it. That's a ball on the outer half, a ball he could have pulled. Listen, he's playing 81 games at Citi Field, no longer 81 games here at Yankee Stadium. He's got to spray the ball around, hit line drives. He's in the leadoff role. Home runs are really needed from him.
Michael Pineda will take his exit after 100 pitches and 7 2/3 terrific innings.
Jason Shreve is going to come in to replace him. This call to the bullpen is brought to you by your Tri-State BMW Center. 6-1 Yankees in the 8th. We'll be right back. For the Mets against CC Sabathia. The game will be on SNY tomorrow afternoon. Our coverage begins at 3:30 in the p.m. Juan Lagares faces the former Atlanta Brave Chasen Shreve with 2 out and a runner at second in the top of the 8th. Lagares 0 for 3 tonight.
Well, Shreve came over with David Carpenter in the Manny Banuelos trade. Banuelos going over to the Atlanta Braves. Pitched in the big leagues for the Braves last year, just 15 games.
Michael Pineda, terrific for 7 2/3. Allowed a run on 5 hits, no walks, 7 strikeouts. Jason Shreve out of the College of Southern Nevada, same school that produced Bryce Harper.
Oh, okay.
24 years old. Lucas Duda trying to stay warm on deck. It's an increasingly difficult thing to do tonight. In-game box score brought to you by Nissan. Shop ChooseNissan.com. Curtis Granderson with a couple of hits. Lucas Duda with the only RBI. But the Mets without a whole lot of offense tonight against Michael Pineda. On a night when Jacob deGrom had one of his rougher starts in the big leagues. Garris fouls it off.
I saw that 0 for between the 2 and 5 spots for the Mets tonight.
By the way, it's down to 41 degrees now. Should be a little warmer tomorrow afternoon.
It's been tolerable up here in the booth.
Well, you have a heater right in front.
Heater underneath us.
And a very nice sweater, I might add.
Yes.
I like that purple sweater.
It's I don't want to sound like a snob, but I'm sorry. It's cashmere precisely for a night like this. It keeps you warm.
Lagares takes strike 3 called as Shreve dents the outside corner at the knees. And Lagares goes away shaking his head. That'll send us to the bottom of the 8th at Yankee Stadium. That's down 6-1. quitting, call 866-NY-QUITS. And Mark Teixeira just wouldn't quit tonight. Pair of identical 2-run homers.
I think you're right, Keith. I thought they were both changeups to Teixeira. I don't think they were. They were just not good fastballs by Jacob.
They were cheddar cheese.
Eric Goodell will pitch the bottom of the 8th for the Mets.
I think he had plenty on them. I just think that they were right down the pipe.
Well, those only 3 games of work for Goodell.
Chase Headley leads off the home 8th inning. Headley 1 for 3, singled back in the 3rd. Goes back to the left side now against Goodell after rounding out as a right-hand batter against Sean Gilmartin his last at bat. Well, quite an impressive debut for Hansel Robles to work himself out of a bases-loaded jam.
I mean, it was impressive. He had a lot of life on his fastball. He had one he threw, 96 miles an hour? And a good slider to strike out Beltran on the 3-2 count with the bases loaded.
Well, this has kind of turned into a game where Terry Collins was able to work in the back end of his bullpen, Ron, to get Goodell and Gilmartin and break in Robles, get them some work.
Down the left field line, Neuenhuis a long run and beyond his reach.
Now,
here's the Yankee box score brought to you by Nissan. Teixeira with the big 9, a pair of 2-run homers. Ellsbury his first home run of the year, and that's more than enough so far for the Yankees.
So Mr. Familia gets a rest. He has pitched the last week of games because the Mets are on a roll. 5 out of the last 7 games. Is that a lot of work, Ron, even though you're working 1 inning?
You know, it's interesting. Terry Collins was addressing it today. He said that, is it a lot of work? Well, one, for an established veteran closer, they look for that kind of work. Right. They want that kind of work, but you're breaking this young man in. But Terry Collins said something interesting today. He said from being around a lot of the veterans in that bullpen, he has learned how to get hot and just relax, not to waste so many pellets out there. So if he's not used, he isn't a guy that's thrown 50 or 55 pitches out there. I like that.
You know, Jose Valverde did not have a particularly successful tenure as a Mets closer, but a lot of the young pitchers in that bullpen. Nice diving stop by Duda. Gets up and gets it to Goodell on time to retire Headley, 1 away. A lot of those young pitchers, particularly the Latino pitchers, give a lot of credit to Valverde for teaching them little tricks of the trade like that.
Well, I think that Valverde made up for some of the things that Francisco taught him the year before, or a couple of years before. But I think Valverde's been was a big influence. I think Bartolo Colon has been a big influence for a lot of the younger pitchers.
Well, you always want to draw from the veterans.
Yeah.
Here's Stephen Drew, 0 for 2 and a sacrifice fly. Well, if you look at this Mets team, it's a very interesting mix of developing players and veteran players. You know, you've got your Colones and your Grandersons and your Wrights and your Kadires, and then you have, you know, that next wave of players who are all learning at their feet. And it's, you know, sometimes you have too much age and sometimes you have too much youth, but the right balance is what you strive for.
Well, I'd rather, as the Mets have, the scales are tipped on the youthful side and you have a sprinkling of veterans.
But I think the most important thing in a individual sport wrapped around a team game is that you might be a young player, but you got to do your part. You can't look to Michael Kadire or Wright when he's in the lineup to always get the big hit. Everyone's got to contribute, and if you're out there, you got to do your part in your 3-4 at bats.
You know, Gary, and the one good thing about having the majority of youth is that eventually, if things work out properly, everybody develops.
Good breaking ball by Goodell to strike out Drew, 2 out.
That youth becomes your core, and you have them for a long time.
Well, then you can go on a run.
Exactly.
A run of winning seasons.
Well, that's what happened here in the Bronx, isn't it?
That's right.
I mean, they had players from their farm system all develop at the same time and were able to ride that wave for the better part of a decade. Here's Didi Gregorius, who's 0 for 3.
I mean, Derek, of course, #1 pick, had the pedigree. But think about it. Jorge Posada was a guy that was an infielder, had to learn how to catch. Mariano was a starting pitcher that had to go to the bullpen, was a setup man earlier in his career, and then course, the greatest closer in the history of the game.
Goodell behind 2-0 on Gregorius.
Bernie Williams, who we saw tonight, was one of those guys that was always a great athlete, but they didn't know if he was going to turn into a great ball player. He did, obviously. Andy Pettitte was nails his entire career when you think about it.
Hammered down to first. It hits the bag and flattens out down the line. Gregorius into second base with a double. Well, Duda appeared to be there, but that ball skipped off the back of the bag.
It seems like, to me, Lucas is much better going to his right on his backhand side here. Has a little more difficulty down the line. Didn't quite get there.
That was wrong. It didn't go anywhere near the bag.
What happened is, I think, Lucas expected a big hop.
Yeah.
And what it didn't bounce high. It stayed down, and it fooled him.
So it's a double for Gregorius. The Yankees' 11th hit of the night. And now Ellsbury, who has 2 hits, 1 into the seats and right, and 1 excuse me hit that rolled dead inside the third baseline. He pops this one up in his shallow left. Flores out to grab it, and that retires the side. So a scoreless inning for Eric Goodell. Mets with their final hope coming up in the 9th, down 6-1. Tom's lowest cost to own brand over 5 years. Next Saturday, the Mets take on the Nationals at Citi Field, and you can watch it on New York's home for baseball, Pix 11. That's the Mets and the Nats, Saturday, May 2nd on Pix 11. Jason Shreve trying to close things out for the Yankees. Got the final line of the 8th. Faces Lucas Duda to start the 9th. Duda has the only RBI for the Mets tonight, a sacrifice fly in the 6th. The Yankees got 2 in the first, 4 in the third off Jacob deGrom, and have not looked back. And the Mets' 11-game winning streak could be 3 outs away from extinction. There's a strike, 0-2. Michael Kadire on deck, Daniel Murphy behind him. Nobody up behind Shreve in the Yankee bullpen, but that may change in a moment.
We got two left-handers in Murph. If he gets in trouble, they'll have someone ready for Flores and Campbell.
Slowly hit. Gregorius had him played perfectly on the other side of the bag. 1 out.
Well, this game was a great indication of what the Yankees have been doing to get to their record, isn't it? They don't have a lot of great averages in the lineup, but they hit the ball out of the ballpark.
Pitching and home runs. It's an old formula,
yeah,
but it's working for them right now. The Yankees started the day tied for first place in the AL East with Boston and Toronto. Boston is tied in their game in Baltimore. Toronto just got crushed by Tampa Bay 12-3. Here's Michael Kadire, and he takes inside. The Mets started the day 4.5 games in front of the Braves, who are in a scoreless tie in the bottom of the 9th in Philadelphia. Andrew Miller, the Yankee closer, up with a 5-run lead in the 9th. They had Betances up earlier. Both those guys pitched yesterday.
Well, here's my feeling. I would say in the middle of the summer you would not have them up, but maybe because of the extremely cold weather, maybe they need a few more tosses to get loose,
just in case you get in trouble.
Yeah,
you don't want to try and rush them, I guess. 2-0 to Kadire. 0 for 3 as the DH tonight. 0 for his last 13. Bounces one foul. Here's a quiz for you. Kadire DHing tonight. Who was the Mets' first ever DH against the Yankees?
Well, it was here, right? That's the Milwaukee game, right?
1997.
Matt Franco.
Good call. How about no?
Big right hand hitter.
Butch Husky.
Butch Husky.
Oh.
Good call.
I'm telling you, I'm getting better at the black years for me.
Kadire drives one deep down the left field line, headed toward the pole, and it's a foul ball.
Just missed. And the scrum is on in the front row.
Did you see what our, just a little quick by Kadire, did you see what our friends, great broadcast out in San Francisco, Kuiper, said about to their fans in San Francisco? Do not throw back the home run balls. That's their pace of game initiative. They said it takes too much time.
Ah, good call. Good call.
Kruk and Kuip.
Take it home with you.
Why wouldn't you want a souvenir of a major league?
Agreed.
Peer pressure.
Who cares who hit it?
That's right. I think that started with the cut. Remember
Yes.
Wrigley, they used to do it?
Right. I mean, that there it's kind of a tradition. Grounded down to Headley, the former Gold Glover. Low throw, and Teixeira can't handle it. And it's an error for the Gold Glover, Headley.
Headley. Very seldom do you see him make a bad play here. It's actually a bad throw, and very seldom do you see Teixeira not scooping it out of the dirt. Maybe it has to do with the cold.
So Kadire aboard on the error.
Oh, that ball hit him right in the shin.
Ow.
Ow.
Yes, indeed. Teixeira will play behind Kadire with Murphy at the plate. Murph 0 for 3 tonight. And he hits a double play ball right at Drew. Gregorius with the turn, and that'll do it. Jason Shreve gets the final 4 outs. A very strong pitching performance by Michael Pineda. 2 home runs for Mark Teixeira, and the Mets' 11-game winning streak comes to an end as the Yankees take the series opener 6-1.
Well, it came to an end because the Mets have gotten great starting pitching that entire run. They didn't have it today. Jacob deGrom struggled, gave up 3 runs in his 5 innings of work, and the Mets never could better the Yanks after that.
And the Yankees have been winning with the long ball, scoring runs, and they hit 3 tonight. Like Drawn said, 2 by Teixeira, 1 by Ellsbury, and they never let deGrom get his rhythm.
There's your game summary, brought to you by the generously appointed Lexus ES and ES Hybrid. So 11 survives as the longest winning streak in Mets history, as the Mets, after the 10-0 homestand, drop the opener here in the Bronx 6-1 to the Yankees tonight. We'll come back with more from Yankee Stadium.